G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talks of Ukraine the War update for the 25th of October 2025. I'm your host, the author David Applegate. Author of the books The Boyhood Arcade, Power Games, Into the Ozbound and the Erotic Tales from the Empire. Part 1 out now, Part 2 available soon. Thank you to all those who support the channel. You support the channel through the links in my link tree. Now, as the war continues, Zelensky has once again met with European leaders to demand long-range missiles. I mean, this is totally Orwellian, urging you to spend billions of dollars that Zelensky can never repay. Think about it. Ukraine GDP is 127 billion. The war is costing 200 billion a year. In 5 years, that will be $1 trillion, which would take Ukraine, remember they can't pay it all at once, right? That would take Ukraine centuries to repay that debt, even with mineral deals, etc. So, enough's enough. Zelensky is screwing you, the taxpayer. Because you know when Europe is in financial trouble, they're going to come to you. They're going to go to BlackRock to borrow money and then have you subsidize those loans to make... So, in the end, the only person who loses money is you, the taxpayer. BlackRock, however, has closed its Ukrainian fund. It shows you everything you need to know. Now, who is BlackRock? They are a sovereign wealth fund. They have money from Norway, UAE, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, and a dozen other countries. And they also have large US and Canadian pension funds. And they also move money for central banks and loan money to central banks or turn assets into negotiable bonds or into gold. They are your one-stop money launderers for the rich and famous. However, as the war continues, Russia here is getting ready to perform a flight. These are part of regular flights that of nuclear readiness that you may not believe this, but the US also conduct what they call nuclear readiness flights. Nothing to be concerned about. Now, yesterday reported that a man detonated a grenade on a train. It's confirmed that he killed himself and 3 others, and when injured others, no known motive has been published. Ukraine and Russia exchanged shelling on the border, particularly in Kherson, and the British Ministry of Defence is whining about North Koreans. Russia hit Ukraine hard. And Finland is once again expressing Russophobia and asking the US for Tomahawk missiles on behalf of Ukraine, of course. No. They want Russia to be declared a permanent enemy. You know, like... Man, you know why, don't you? So Finland can make money off renting you military bases and selling you liquor and prostitutes. What else has Finland got to offer, right? Fuck you, Finland, and your greed. Most of this war is fueled by greed, folks. But Russia has hit Kiev hard. Now, they haven't hit many other places today. Allegedly, we don't know if it's true or not, but... We'll take it on face value that they don't hit the same targets every day, although often there's fighting in the same areas every day. But Kharkiv communication system was hit yet again. Yeah, it's probably a mobile field office. They probably just got a dozen trucks parked all over the place. When one blows up, they just get another. They have to keep the frontline communications open, so they have no choice. They just probably park them and forget them, hoping that it's not hoping that they're not destroyed as they're parking. It's like those guys who drive for the mafia, start the truck, except they're not listening for the bomb under the car. They're listening out the window for drones. Okay, so Russia's made advances a little bit north of Kupiansk and in the surrounds of Kupiansk, but in Kupiansk itself, it still has not taken the major junction and parts of the strip along the canal. In other areas, there's fighting, no major advances. Now, north of Lyman, there's a little bit of movement, some fighting. Zakrin is Zakrin and so forth. There's been some movement. As we go through, there's been a bit of movement east of Seversk. Now, there's been some movement north of Chavez Yar. That's about it for Chavez Yar. Now, for the siege of Konsk, the Russians have made significant advances, but have not entered Konsk. To the west of Konsk, they've made some advances, but cut Rodin, and yet again in their attempt to cut the rail line and take control, to cut off whatever's flowing in through this area, to force the Ukrainian troops out. They are fighting over the centre of Pokrovsk here. Well, it's actually two towns minced together, and that's where they're fighting. Oh, three towns. 1, 2, 3. Little towns mashed together. But they're fighting. Not much advances, although they're little. Some advances to the west of Pok. Not much. That was yesterday. There's only a little bit today. A little bit here. Some glide bombs and some artillery. And after that, there is some advances here south of Orsk. That's about it. Fighting at Kherson. But that's about it. Russia, the relentless Soviet machine, if you want to call it that, but it is Russia. Stop calling it the Soviet Union. Russia has made advances, and again, steady progress. Very little impedance, but there is impedance nonetheless. However, in a move that shocked both Zelensky and Putin, Trump has announced that he's going to discuss ending the conflict with the Chinese leader. I think Trump has come to the same conclusion I have, or did I come to the same conclusion as him, and he's been ahead of the curve? Who knows? I don't have inside information, but I definitely think that Xi plays a bigger role than he wants to admit, and that there will be a meeting to take place in South Korea October 30. That's 5 days' time for both of us, although it'll be reported in the US as October 30. It'll take place on the night of the 29th and be announced on October 30. Hopefully, by the time October 30 rolls around, I will be covering it and have some sort of news. Because, Trump, when he meets, he wants answers. He does not want any more promises when it comes to Ukraine. He's made it clear that he wants this thing to be over, and he believes he can end it. Both on multiple fronts. Pressure on Europe, pressure on Ukraine, pressure on Russia, pressure on India, pressure on China, and of course, pressure at home on those who want to continue the war as well. Basically, you could pressure enough idiots to back off. Russia and Ukraine will come to the realization that they both need the money spent on rebuilding. Ukraine will never pay its debts. Russia will never take Ukraine. Why would Russia want to take Ukraine and then have to spend $1 trillion rebuilding it, only to watch it slowly crumble beneath them as Ukrainians flee, and Europe basically boil the Russian economy and basically the world's economy divided bitterly for the next 100 years. No. There has to be a resolution somewhere in the middle, somewhere someone is going to step up and agree with Trump. So far we have Mark Rutte. Will more people take a stand? By October 30, we should know. Hopefully, Xi, with his own problems, with his own economy having fallen 1.2 trillion, with Nvidia pulling out, and with it looks like the iPhone 17 may be the last iPhone made in China, the HTC and others, once mighty flagships, Huawei, now a husk of its former self. We will see how many more industries, and now that Trump has kicked Xi into googlies over tariffs on Chinese shipping and rebuilding the US rare earth mineral trade. Because don't forget, US started the rare earth mineral trade. The problem was it was toxic, but China offered to take on this toxic industry, and now America's saying, you know what, there might not be sense in climate change, but you know what, he may use it, and the left will be forced to agree with him over sanctioning China over its pollution, and that will be the end of Xi. And the left will have no... What are they going to do? Agree that CO2 is not a pollutant? Agree that... that opens them up to all sorts of lawsuits. They'll swallow their pride and accept sanctions on pollution, for hoping that later they can use it against the United States or Trump. But those are the risks everybody takes. Anything you could do can be twisted back against you. But Ukraine's counteroffensive fantasy may have finally come to an end. On average, once a month, Ukrainian forces lose large stockpiles of weapons. They get hit, and hit hard, unable to rebuild. Now with the UN worried about a collapse of Ukraine and the Ukrainian state, people... the European backers are looking for a way out, but so far Mark Rutte is the only one who states this publicly, that he supports a peace plan. Just has to be, what they call it, comprehensive. But India, of course, is two-faced. They are basically going to defy US sanctions and call your bluff with President Trump. Probably with after phone calls with and assurances from Cory Booker and Schumer that they'll do their best, because after all, Kamala Harris is their good friend in office. All right, so Russia is trying to reach out to the US. They are reaching out to try and hold talks on the sidelines through Kirill Dmitriev. He is head of the Russian direct investment funds, that while there may be disagreements on China, he still thinks President Trump's the savior of Western civilization, and Russia actually wants further trade with both US and Europe, that they want to settle their differences once and for all, maybe get the world to be neutral towards China. But, of course, China needs to be way less adversarial than it is. And I think China has to finally give up its ambitions. And I think North Korea might agree with this. But North Korea says, US has only been our enemy for 100 years. China has been our enemy for 5,000 years. Make of that statement you will, but it says where North Korea really feels threats from, and has recently banned all Chinese phones. Make of that what you will. North Korea and Russia are cooperating for various reasons. I think that they're using the Ukraine war as training. But if you think Putin can't be trusted, well, the UN and many people say he can be. because most of the world just sat down with President Putin in Hanoi and signed a historic agreement over cybercrime, a Russian initiative from 2019. Shows you how long the UN takes to make a peace agreement, folks. So you think this is just law enforcement. This is just basic law enforcement. So you think that a draft document from 2019, so you think you're going to get a peace agreement overnight in Ukraine when it took since 2019 to get a basic law enforcement document signed? Look, most of the world suffers from cybercrime. Those who don't are too poor to have anything on offer, and cyber criminals are even targeting their home states and their home countries. North Korea was recently bitten by its own tools from rogue operators. Everybody's now a victim. I think Russia has finally realized that when cyber criminals run out of it was a huge mistake. Some of the cyber criminals are former officers of various nation states, and probably one of these things in the convention is they're going to give up names and basically give up their operatives in different countries, and they're all going to try their darndest to make sure that because banks, if you know what's going to happen, people are going to soon stop using credit cards. Once people stop using credit cards, but every bank is going to lose billions of dollars because all their ATMs are no longer making money for them. People are lining up at every morning in China, as it is. People in China aren't using ATMs or credit cards. If this trend continues, soon most of the world won't be using credit cards. MasterCard will go bankrupt overnight. Visa won't be far behind it. All companies relying on digital, even Patreon, everybody will be going broke. PayPal, it'll be a bloodbath. Because people be cancelling their credit cards, cancelling everything, subscriptions. There goes YouTube. There goes everybody. Digital transactions gone overnight. No more. What is it? 30% of YouTube revenue is digital. Subscriptions. The rest is the rest of the bulk of that is advertising, and that's paid digitally. If people aren't going to be advertising or using credit cards, no more advertising with Google. Google goes every digital company. That's trillions of dollars now lost. So the world can trust Putin. They've just demonstrated that. So thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And please support the channel. You can support me on Ko-Fi, buy my books, buy my merch. But please support me on Patreon. All my links are in the link tree, which you find in the description below, in my profile, or scan the QR code on the screen. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. See you in the next video, and bye for now.